Hi! Today, I'm gonna be making flourless chocolate cake, but not just any flourless chocolate cake. Claire SAFFITZ'S flourless chocolate cake. After making Claire's brownies, I was eager to try another one of her recipes on camera. So naturally, I was looking for the easier, less intensive time recipes, and I landed on the flourless chocolate cake. I mean, to be fair, I think the difficulty level on this is a 3, but it's one of the few recipes where I have all of the ingredients at home. There's not anything I have to buy or search for, especially in the store. While I love Claire and I think all of the recipes in the book look amazing, oftentimes they are a little finicky or require some special ingredients that you might have to go out of your way to buy. But I feel like the flourless chocolate cake, kind of similarly to the brownies, I have most of the ingredients or all of the ingredients here at home. So personally, I've never actually tried flourless chocolate cake. I've always been a little bit intimidated by it. It seems kind of sus that it has almost no flour in it, but I'm curious to see how it's gonna taste and how the texture and the flavor is gonna compare to a brownie or just a regular chocolate cake. It'll be an interesting experiment, and I'm happy the first one I'm gonna make is off of Claire's book. Although it's been a while since the last brownie video, I will say that my family and I have been actually making a bunch of recipes off of Claire's book. You can see a lot of those pictures on Instagram. You can follow me there for food-related content in between videos. But yeah, I'm excited to continue this series of simping for Claire and making all of her recipes. So without further ado, let's get into it. And before we go any further, my name is Jess. If you've never seen me before, please subscribe if you want to. I'll be making a lot more food videos, Claire videos, taste testing random foods, basically anything I want to do related to food, so stick around. All right, so now for my favorite part, reading the ingredients and the equipment. So the first thing you're gonna need is a 9-inch springform pan. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate pan, but it's just a nice circular one that I use for cakes. You're going to need a stand or a hand mixer. I have both, but I think for convenience purposes, I'm probably gonna just use a hand mixer. As you know, I love doing bare minimum. Sugar for the pan and for the recipe. Semi-sweet chocolate. Neutral oil. You can use vegetable oil or grapeseed. I have vegetable here. 6 eggs. Vanilla extract. Almond flour. I do not have almond flour, so I'm just gonna be substituting for regular white flour. And you do need amaretto or dark rum, which I realized I don't have. So honestly, technically, I don't have all of the ingredients for this recipe. Love that for me, but I think that's gonna be fine. I think it was only 3 tablespoons, so I don't imagine it'll be a huge difference in the recipe. And I think we do actually have a bottle, but I don't wanna open it for just this recipe, so we are just gonna have to make do. And that's it. Let's get into actually making this cake.
And this is what you should have so far.
Welcome back to the stove. So what we have here is I'm gonna be setting up something called a double boiler. This is actually something I was supposed to do in my brownies video last time, but I couldn't figure it out, and I ended up using the wrong bowl. Like, it had a handle, so I couldn't like fit it over a medium saucepan, but I do have the proper bowl now, so I should be able to do it. So essentially what I did was I filled a medium saucepan with about 1 inch of water, and I'm going to let this come to sort of a simmer/boil over medium-low heat. And then when it is simmering, I'm gonna put this bowl on top, and I'm just going to have the chocolate melt gradually. Last time what I did was I just put it in the microwave when I couldn't figure it out, which is a fine substitute, but I think this way is just better because the chocolate's gonna melt evenly. I think it's just better to have it melt slowly rather than just popping it in the microwave, so hopefully this will go better than last time. Okay, I think the water is kind of boiling, simmering now, so I am just going to pop this bowl on top.
And that is what that looks like. I feel like the bottom of the bowl is kind of touching the water, but I hopefully that's fine. And you're gonna use a rubber spatula to just kind of occasionally stir it until it gets all completely melted. Okay, so it's kind of getting a little bit gooey on the bottom, so that's good. Wow, this really does look like sewage water. Okay, so after a few minutes of that, this is the final product. I feel like it looks pretty good. It smells amazing. And it's just kind of like this thick chocolate sauce. I kind of got it everywhere, but yeah, I feel like this looks pretty good.
Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna separate all 6 eggs. So I'm gonna put the egg yolks here and the egg whites here. The way I do it is that I'll literally just crack the egg in my hand and then pop the yolk in here and then leave the rest there. I definitely got made fun of the last time I did this because I think there's probably less messy ways to do this, but this is just how I'm gonna go for it here. Oh, just kidding, I'm putting the egg whites in here. What I like about this recipe is that it uses every part of the egg. Like a lot of recipes will just say to just use the yolks or just use the whites, but it's interesting that this one, you're separating the eggs, but you're also using every part of the egg. I know other people will like transfer the egg and the white in the shell, which I think is probably, if you don't want to get your hands messy, I think that is probably the best way to do it. Okay, just dropped a yolk in the egg white bowl, but crisis averted, we have fished her out.
Now we have the whites and the yolks.
Now I'm just gonna put the egg yolks in the cooled chocolate mixture. I'm using chopsticks to mix this, even though they say a whisk. Honestly, I would recommend chopsticks. I feel like it's more effective than a whisk. It's just my opinion though. Here is what it looks like. Should just be kind of smooth and glossy. This honestly looks a little bit chunky, but hopefully should be fine.
You're gonna want to preheat the oven to 350. Thank you, Dana.
Hello and welcome to a new area of the kitchen. I'm here with the egg whites and the hand mixer, and I'm just going to beat these until they're sort of like a meringue. I feel like this is probably why this recipe is like a level 3 difficulty, because even though there are not a lot of ingredients, there's actually a lot of components you have to do, like setting up the double boiler, making a meringue, which I don't think I've actually ever done before, so we are doing a lot of firsts today in this recipe. Wait, Dana, when do you know it's a meringue? Does this look good?
Yeah, actually, so with the meringue, what you want to do is, I think, don't you want stiff peaks?
Yeah.
Okay, so dip it in. Wait, actually?
Oh, no, because it's not, it's supposed to be like foamy, right? Like it's supposed to come up with it.
No,
okay.
wait, hold on.
I was trying to figure out what meringue is for 25 minutes straight.
It's supposed to look like this. You want a stiff peak.
Oh shit.
You have a long way to go.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. The mixing continues. Oh, it's so good.
What?
It's so good.
Oh, there you go. So some stiff peaks.
Yeah.
I think you want more though.
Yeah.
It's like really weak.
Okay, we're getting there. We have some light stiff peaks.
okay. Yeah, so as you can see, the meringue is pretty much done. It's pretty stiff. Honestly, it's so pretty. It's just like this little white cloud. Okay, yeah, I think we are pretty much good with that. Don't want to over mix it, I guess. Wow, eggs are truly amazing. And now I'm going to gradually put in the sugar as I beat. And this is a 1/2 cup. Ooh, oh my god. Okay, that is gorgeous. And the last thing I'm gonna do is beat in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, so now for the last step, I am just going to fold the meringue into the chocolate mixture. So Claire suggests kind of doing this in parts. So like first doing like 1/4 of the mixture and then mixing it in and then gradually putting each section of the meringue into the mixture. Go in with my spatula and mix some of the meringue in here. And you could just mix until, even if there's still some streaks left, I think that's supposed to be better than over mixing it. You can already see that there are like these beautiful little streaks coming through. Okay, now I'm just gonna do another chunk of meringue. This is like a lot of meringue. It's really 6 egg whites worth, which is kind of crazy. Kind of looks like marshmallow fluff. Even though I've never had that before, it looks pretty good. Honestly, the streaks are just amazing. I feel like the meringue is really gonna help with like the airiness of this cake. I don't really know what flourless chocolate cake tastes like, but I feel like it kind of needs to be like maybe a light and airy texture, maybe to compensate for the lack of flour. And I'm just gonna put the last batch of the meringue right in here. Honestly, the rubber spatula is like the greatest kitchen invention. It just gets literally everything out of the bowl. Now this is the last meringue, and after we mix this in, we'll be done. Just kind of looks like a vortex of white and chocolate. All right, it looks like the batter is done. And it's okay, I think, if there are still a few streaks left. She says that it's better to have some streaks rather than overmix. All right, so I don't really feel like buttering my pan, so I'm just gonna use some parchment paper. All right, and we are going to pour her in. Ooh, oh my God. Wow. You can see the little ribbons. Wait, actually gorgeous. Wow, maybe this will turn out actually really good. Now I'm just gonna go in with my spatula, scoop the rest out. And now for the final touch, I am going to just sprinkle the remaining 2 tablespoons of sugar on the top of the cake. All right, and now we are gonna put it in the oven. And now we will wait for 30 to 35 minutes. Okay, so it has now been 30 minutes plus we allowed it to cool for another half hour. So in total, it's been about an hour since we put this in the oven. We just took it out of its pan and this is what it's looking like. We transferred these onto plates so they would look fancier. Okay.
There you go.
Now for the final taste test time, we are finally going to try the cake. Okay, before we begin, I must admit a mistake. I forgot to add the 1 teaspoon of salt that is in the recipe. Of course this would happen to me. I mean, if you're not here to see me make 1,000 mistakes and be an incredibly inconsistent and forgetful baker, then
I don't know why else you're here. But of course this would happen after making the perfect meringue and doing everything correctly. Would forget a very important ingredient. But after reading forums and information, hopefully it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But if it does taste slightly off, that is probably the reason why. Because I forgot the salt. Okay, cool. All right, now with that disclaimer out of the way, we can eat the cake because Dana has been really wanting to try it.
God, yes.
Okay. All right. I feel like the salt was important.
I told you.
So, it is good. I agree with Dana, it is a good cake. It's not as chocolatey because the salt is missing, and I do think the salt does bring out the chocolatey flavors. But honestly, I really like the texture of it. Like, it's like kind of mushy, but like light at the same time. Oh, there you go.
It's spongier than I thought it would be.
Here is a close-up of a piece of cake. Yeah, it's pretty spongy. Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay.
I think it's lighter than most other flourless cakes I've had.
Probably because of the meringue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's a little flour in here, right?
Half a cup of flour. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of chocolate. It's mostly chocolate and egg. It's 6 eggs and 1.5 cups of chocolate.
You can cut this out, but I don't know if I like the texture.
Wait, why?
It's like not light, but it's also not dense, and it kind of tastes like mushy, and I don't, it's like a weird combination of really light, but also really dense, and I can't figure out what it wants to be, you know?
That's fair. So the texture is like a little bit muddled, like it's a little bit confusing. You can't tell if it's trying to be light or dense.
Yeah, but also like I think there's just too much egg for me. Like it's borderline like, I don't know actually. It's like weirdly chewy, you know? It's just like, it's it's definitely very eggy.
Mm. I don't know, I still think I like it, the texture. Yeah. All right, so final verdict. I mean, I liked it. I think it was pretty good. Like, I think that the meringue really brought something, I feel like kind of unique to it. Like, I don't know if every flourless chocolate cake uses meringue, but I feel like doing that extra step like made it really light and made it kind of different. I mean, honestly, the salt, I feel like it wasn't a big deal. Like, obviously, I think it's one of those things where if you have it, it's obviously better. But if it's not there, it's not like destroying the recipe. So if you forget the salt.
I don't know, I wouldn't encourage people to forget the salt. Like, I wouldn't say that is not a big deal.
Yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. Yeah, don't forget the salt, but like if you do, like whatever. I'm alive and the cake is pretty good. You know what, overall, I think I would give this cake a 7.5 out of 10. Or 7 out of 10. What about you?
Like a 6.5, 7.
Okay, I guess we're both kind of in the range of 6.5 to 7.5. Me on the higher end and Dana on the lower end.
I definitely wouldn't give it a 7.5.
No, okay, so it'd be 7 tops.
Yeah.
But what do you think would make this cake better if the texture was more like?
If the chocolate flavor was stronger, it kind of barely tasted like chocolate, to be honest.
Oh, right, probably because it's salt. You can't really fault the recipe for that one.
I'm not faulting, I love Claire, you know that.
Yeah, that's true. We stand Claire in this household and it was a good recipe despite me messing it up. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspired you to bake or try one of Claire's recipes. The links to the book will be down in the description. Yeah, this apron, which I linked before, will also be in the description. Happy baking, and I'll see you guys in the next one.